What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Love Unscripted podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Wilson, and I'm joined as always by my esteemed co-host, Dexter J. Tucker.
What's going on, fam? How y'all feel?
And this is the podcast where we have unscripted conversations with millennials about relationships and dating. So I hope everyone's having a great, fabulous fall. Fall is finally here. Hopefully you're enjoying the weather change. Hopefully you're making the adjustments. It's not time for hot cocoa yet, but it's starting to get warm. Maybe some like tea or something. I don't think we got to go hot chocolate just yet. But I found out. You know what I found out the other day? Hot coffee drinkers drink hot coffee year round.
Yeah, they do.
I thought it was just like people switch it up. Like, okay, when it's hot outside, I drink iced coffee, but when it's cold outside, I drink hot. They drink that stuff year round.
Year round. My grandmother do it. She drink hot coffee year round every morning. Every morning.
Like I can understand tea, but coffee, my goodness, but that may be why so many places of employment have coffee pots, coffee stations. They be burning the heck out of them Keurigs. People just got them little cups everywhere. So the little pods. I mean, some people get really excited. Like, listen, and there was one time, this place I used to work, I won't name it, but people used to get upset when people would leave the Keurig cups in there and didn't take it out. Listen, the email would come out. Please, attention in all caps, please empty the Keurig. So, hey, hopefully you guys, like I said, making the adjustments. Dexter, how you been? How's this season of your life been?
It's been good. I'm ready for fall. I really am ready for fall. Like the cold weather, like having a good old warm hoodie on, feeling like I'm doing something, going into the winter season. I just look forward to it. It's a good time to like sit down and reflect and just think about the next year and what that's gonna look like.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
Do you got a bubble coat?
I don't have a bubble coat. I'm actually looking for one. Just in case because that winter freeze we had back in February kind of scared me in the wife. So like, I need to get us a jacket, because we got these small little jackets, because it don't get too cold in Texas. But that one, oh no, we got to find one.
Yeah, if y'all know my story, I'm notorious for just wearing hoodies. I don't really, I need to do coats. Maybe they should come out with some hybrid like hoodie coat, something I could wear.
Some type of hybrid, between the two.
Yeah, because I'm gonna rock them hoodies, no doubt, like 24/7. Like if I could get away with it in the summertime and not get judged, I may just do it. But hey, I won't pass any judgments on anybody who got the fur on their coat, the baby fat jackets. Listen, we're millennials. We remember when those were popular. So if you guys missed last week's episode, you guys missed a good one. We had our good friend Shamika to talk about whether or not you are growing individually within your relationship. We know that it's important to make sure the collective relationship grows, that you and your partner are growing in the same direction. But are you as an individual growing? Are you continuing to get better, starting to unpack a lot of just growing? I mean, like we definitely had a dope conversation about that. And I think if you missed it, please pause this one, go back and listen. And we have a dope conversation about how you can actually start to grow even though you're in a relationship. But we know why you guys are here. You guys are here for the dope conversations. And this week we have another great guest to join us. Let me go ahead and get them in. All right, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Venus Sublime, and I'm just a creative expressionist, really. I speak my mind and speak my truth and say whatever it is that it is compelled, for me to speak and say. So I speak for the misfits and for those who feel like they don't have a voice or they feel insecure for whatever reason to speak. That's what I'm here for, to speak for all of us who feel.
I love it. So thank you for being willing to have this conversation. I love just talking to new people. It's always fun to hear other people's ideas because sometimes we can start to think that our way of thinking is the only way out there.
Right.
So it's always dope to talk to new people, especially people that are outside your initial friend group. Because, your friends can tend to all think the same at some point, but it's good to have different perspectives. So we're going to have a few questions to kind of get to know Venus a little bit better before we get back into our conversation. So here's your first question.
Okay.
What are your thoughts of fall? A lot of people love fall. Some people hate it because of the season change. What is your opinion about this fall season coming up?
Well, I feel like fall is necessary. You know, all the different seasons. It allows us to have a relationship. Everything that we have a relationship with everything, you know, so it's not just relationship with people, we have a relationship with, you know, how we see the world, a relationship with, you know, basically like it's many different relationships out there. So it's like, I feel like fall is a time where, you know, things are falling away from our lives, and kind of like making space for, you know, winter. When winter comes, winter is like a time when we're like, you know, like we're more inside of ourselves and more like introspect. So I feel like fall, and autumn, you kind of gather everything up that you've been planting in the summer. So it's a great time for harvest and to share your harvest with those that you love. And so fall can be a beautiful time for sharing the crop, sharing the fruits of your labor that you've been putting in all these other seasons up until now. And now you get to share your beautiful fruits with those that you love. You know, it gets a little bit chillier, you know, the leaves starts to change, and I feel like it's a beautiful time for us to share our fruits together.
Definitely. Question number 2. What or who inspires you?
Well, I feel like people inspire me. My children inspire me. And for the matter of what you were saying, like perspective, I feel like perspective is very important because I think a certain way. And so when I'm able to be around my children or other people, they challenge my perspective, and they challenge my patience, and they challenge who I am as a being and as an individual. So I feel like people allow me to grow more. Like every relationship that I do have, either if it's a long relationship or a short relationship, my life is forever changed by just having simple conversations with people. So I feel like people inspire me to be a better version of myself and express myself more, you know, like more of who I am, and to learn more of myself through people, because we're all like reflections of each other in certain aspects. So I feel like, you know, it would be very boring if it was just a life by myself, you know, and no people. So people inspire me.
I love it. Question number 3, and this will be the final one. So, where is one place that you would like to travel to or visit that you have not been able to go?
I would like to go to Samoa. So my mother is from Samoa, and I would like to just visit the land. My grandmother, and my grandfather, they were healers, and so they used like the different plants and herbs from the land to heal their families and the different people in the community and children. So I would like to visit the land because my mother said that we have land out there too. And I would just like to live off the land and see how my ancestors were living out there on that side, because I grew up more on my melanated side. So I would like to see how they lived, because my mother told me that no one is homeless out there. When she moved out here, she said that she never knew what homeless people was, you know, and that shocked my mind. Like that's the same expression that I had on my face. I'm like, oh, there's no homeless people. What? But it's because they're big about family, and everybody has a position to play. So there is no such thing as homeless, because everybody looks out and provides for one another and does their part. So there's no homeless, there's no mental illness in the way how it is out here, because they have a more natural way of living, and it's no like pharmaceuticals or things that distort our thinking in our body structures.
Got you. So I love to travel and I want to see all these different places, and especially a lot of civilizations, a lot of countries have different medical practices
Right.
that are much different, that are very indigenous and that are very natural. So
Right.
I'm very interested in seeing other cultures and how they practice these things. I know my family's from Jamaica, and
Yeah.
my grandmother used to make a lot of different things. And my mom used to always be like, yo, if you go over there, don't drink nothing. Don't drink it, because I'm not sure what she's putting in it yet. And I want to make sure you're going to be okay. So it comes twofold, because my family's like, yeah, grandma be making up some stuff. So, hey, it's
do it work? Does it help? Did you try it one time?
I was an obedient child, so I was like, no, I'm not drinking anything my parents told me not to drink, even if it's from my grandma. So thank you for sharing that with us. And we are going to go ahead and jump into this conversation. I think it's going to be very meaningful. I think it can be extremely life-changing, and I'll set it up this way. So one of the most memorable clients that I've ever had was this young man who his grandparents thought he had turned into a zombie. And so now this young man, when I first met him, he had a very solemn expression. His eyes were glassy, didn't talk much, had just enough energy to walk around the house, go to school. He would try to do his work, but he would keep falling asleep in class. And so eventually his grandparents are like, hey, let's get a counselor in here to talk with him, because he's not saying anything. Right. And so after sitting with him for a while, and y'all know I love kids, so I always try to figure out ways to get them talking. And one of the ways that I like to try to get people to open up is through either videos or some type of artistic expression. And so one day, while we were watching an episode of Scooby-Doo, out of the blue, this young man is like, do you believe in ghosts? I was like, what do you mean by ghosts? He was like, things that lurk in the shadows and they shapeshift, but sometimes they follow you. I was like, I haven't personally seen them, but I'm not going to rule them out. He was like, Mr. Joseph, I see something in my room, and every time I move, it moves. I was like, when you move, it moves? He's like, yes. And it's scaring the life out of me. I said, when does this ghost normally come out? He said it's usually either in the morning or at night right before he goes to bed. And so I said, you know what? I do in-home therapy. I said, let me go ahead and come in the evening one time to see if I can help him with this ghost problem, because I watch a lot of movies, and if this is going to be a real life ghost situation, I actually kind of want to see it. I want to have a good story to tell. So I put myself in a compromising potential situation. So lo and behold, we go to his room, and as we're sitting, they live out kind of like in the country. And so as the sun as it's starting to get darker, the moon comes out, and you can see how the moonlight shines into the room. And eventually what I would come to find is that this young man was indeed afraid of his shadow. So much so that he had been staying up all night watching this shadow so that it does not catch him by surprise. It was so bad that he would literally have insomnia and would be a walking zombie throughout the week, throughout his schooling, and just throughout his whole experience. Luckily, we were able to put some parameters in place, like putting some extra lights and also informing him of what a shadow actually is and how it really isn't anything to be afraid of. Right. The thing that I've come to find out is I think a lot of adults can tend to be afraid of their shadow. There are actually a practice called shadow work that challenges you to look beyond what's just on the surface. Think about it. We all are on Instagram now. We all got the filters. We got to have the right lighting to make sure that the picture is taken in the best possible way. We try to shine all of this stuff on it so that the picture looks the best.
Right.
There is a side to all of us that is not in the spotlight that we may tend to hide. And I think this topic of shadow work is something that I think we need to explore a little bit further. So, Venus, what would you say shadow work is? How would you describe it?
Well, to me, shadow work is, I would say, like the ugly parts of ourselves, the part of ourselves that we feel like is like, like a monster, or like it's not society wouldn't approve of it, like it depending on what type of family structure we grew up in or what society we live in. Sometimes we don't fit into that structure. And so we hide parts of ourselves that we feel like other people aren't going to like and adore about us, and so I feel like shadow work is something that it's a relationship with ourselves that we have to develop, to look at and see, like, okay, certain behaviors and mindsets that I have, these mindsets and behaviors, they need adjustments, and sometimes, like how you said, on social media and in Instagram, a lot of people, they want to post and show what they want to post and show. But and so the videos that some people take, they probably took like 30 videos 50 videos before they were like, okay, that's the one, this is the perfect one, this is, I'm trying to show a perfect image of ourselves. And so I had to learn to really embrace all the aspects of myself that society wouldn't really deem as beautiful. For instance, like I grew up and I would have people bully me and tell me like, oh, okay, well, you're not beautiful in this type of way because your skin's not this way, your teeth is not this way, you're awkward because you don't do these type of things that we do, like you're not book smart in the way how other people are, like I'm more creative in the way that I think is different. And so I had to learn to really embrace myself beyond what anybody else, it thinks about me. And I feel like I had to understand that, okay, well, I've grown to become a people pleaser, to please how other people think about me and show them the image that they want so I could be socially accepted. But then I realized, but I'm not really happy within myself. This doesn't make me happy to live in this masked version of myself. And I feel like the whole situation with coronavirus, it really showed who has been wearing the masks, because it's like, oh, you're so natural. This is natural for you to wear this mask. Like, you've been wearing this mask all your life. This is a good time for you, because now you can really hide behind these masks and not really truly say how you feel, and not really truly expose yourself for what's inside your heart and what you really want to say. And so shadow work is really diving deep into our psyche to honor and respect who we are, no matter what anybody else thinks about us. So if I feel like I really don't like something, but that person, if I tell that person they're not going to like me no more, I'm going to say it anyway, because this is in my heart to say it. And if you don't like me, if you don't like how I really am, then you're not really my friend, and it's okay. This is not for me. And so shadow work allows you to align with your true self and your true authenticity, so you can walk into your true power, not having to hide behind any shadows, not having to hide beyond other people's fears or other people's projections of who you are to be. And so so shadow work also has other layers of like living with people that they projected their identity onto me and for me to be. And so now I have to do shadow work to see, like, okay, well, this is not really who I am. Like, this belongs to you, so then it allows me to give it back to who it belongs to, and to continue to shed layers of what is not me, to discover who I truly am. And sometimes it's not a pretty, most of the time, majority of the time, it's not a beautiful process because my whole life has been built on a false structure, a false identity. So when that false identity begins to crumble, then it's like, well, dang, who am I? What do I do now? Where's everybody at now that I felt like that we used to be together and have so much in common? Now I have all these people, like falling away, and I'm by myself now. And so the whole process is being able to accept who you are at the end of the day, no matter what anybody else has to say. And even if you have to be alone in the process, then you're making room and making space for who truly aligns with you and is on your frequency that serves similar missions that you do.
Right. So Dexter, you said you were new to this idea and concept. What are some of your thoughts after hearing Venus explain what it is in the process? I think it was perfect. What are your thoughts on that, being someone who's new to this idea?
I mean, just from the word itself, like you can break down what it is, but to hear her explain it so eloquently like she did, which is amazing, it's beautiful. It reminds me of like, it's really, at the end of the day, it's really about being self-aware of who you are and where you've been and what you do. And Venus, you brought up some amazing points. Like, and one of them was, like when you said perspective is one of the things that inspires you. And, that's just about being self-aware about where you fall short and, the things that you may not have. And then when you said about people projecting on you, like Joe would tell you, one of my favorite words to say is being a chameleon, and how a lot of us, we become the versions of what people want us to become. And then in that, we surround ourselves by those people that feed that version of ourselves that we project, like you stated. And then what ends up happening is we hate the silence of being by ourselves and being alone with our own thoughts and feelings. But, with shadow work, it just sounds like it's all about making sure that you're being, like she said, being your authentic self and not the version that people want you to be. Because at that point, you're being dishonest with yourself, which causes you to be dishonest with other people. And you keep reliving the same lie over and over and over again, and you're never happy. People always think you project the version of yourself that's always okay, but you're never really happy with you. And I think just from hearing her explain, like I said, so eloquently, like it reminds me that it's just about being self-aware and being conscious of you. Aside from what people think about you, aside from, how your mom and dad raised you, aside from all, who you are at work, who you are in society, who you are on social media, it's about who are you at the end of the day. Is what it sounds like to me.
And accountability.
Go ahead.
Accountability, like, because that goes, self-awareness and accountability goes hand in hand, because like I said in the beginning, the most important relationship that we do have is with ourselves first. And so if I don't know who I am truly, then I really can't offer you anything beyond that. I can just give you what you want, but then at the end of the day, I'm really not happy. And then what is the whole point of my life? What's my purpose now? And my purpose is not to live for other people. My purpose is to discover my voice and my spirit and my creativity and my story, of what it is that I am to share. So I feel like accountability is a big one too in shadow work, because a lot of people be like, oh, well, I'm this way because of you.
Hold on, we gonna get there. We gonna get to that point. I knew you're gonna sound like no, we're gonna get there. But one thing that I think both of you said, you have to be self-aware. But I don't know about you guys, but as I'm walking outside and it's sunny, sometimes I'm not even aware of my shadow. I don't know what side of me it's on. I don't know how it looks, how distorted, how tall it is based on how the sun is above me. And I think a lot of people are not conscious of this other side of them. And to me, a lot of shadow work has to do with some of the unconscious things that we suppress. Right. Some of it could be onset by trauma. It could cause us anxiety, but there are a lot of these things that are suppressed within us that if we're not aware of it, it could cause us to behave in certain situations in ways that is not in alignment with who we are.
Yeah.
So let's go in this place. So shadow work can be really tough. for the reason that you guys said, especially when you find out that there are things in your shadows that you may not either like, appreciate, or don't know how to deal with yet. So when you're trying to wrestle with these things, what would be some, I guess, advice on how to actually deal with some of those things that come out of the shadows?
Well, first, we need to be able to have compassion for ourselves, have compassion and be gentle with ourselves in the process, with the awareness and acknowledgement of, you know, this has been going on for generations and generations. You know, it didn't just start with me. It started with my mother and my father and their mother and their father, and that's what they have given to me for me to be able to transform and transmute. So I feel like how you said when you said who inspires me, and I said people inspire me. And I said people inspire me because people allow me to see certain aspects and certain unconscious aspects of myself that I wouldn't have seen if it wasn't for them triggering a certain emotion out of me, and then me having a certain response, and then that allows for my shadows to come out on the table, both of our shadows to come out, so we can observe them. So it's a very intense process, but first and foremost, we have to have the mindset that, okay, no matter what comes up, I accept myself as I am. I love myself for who I am. I'm worthy. You know, I'm worthy for love, whether I have darkness or light within me, you know? And so when I'm able to look at myself in this way and accept myself fully, then whatever comes up, I can accept that too, because I accept that I'm not just a light. I accept that I do have these certain unconscious aspects of myself that needs me to hug it too, needs some love. Instead of saying like, oh, no, I don't want to pay attention to you and push you away. That just creates more resistance, you know, and the more you resist, the more it persists. So it's important for us to have compassion with ourselves during this process, and to know that, you know, what comes up, it's also not me. It's not me, you know, these are different things that I took on. So when I'm shedding layers, I know that I have to love myself in the process, and to be compassionate with myself when these harsh emotions come up, and to know that it's okay for me to breathe through it, and to remind myself that I'm courageous and brave, you know, for even facing what comes up, because a lot of people would just tend to mask it, you know, drink it away, smoke it away, you know, the song or whatever, how you say. So a lot of us tend to get in those toxic cycles because we're avoiding, you know, to do the shadow work and look at our behavior and our contributions to these toxic cycles. So we have to address it head on first, and then also have deep compassion with ourselves, and to know that, you know, I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to put in the efforts to be a better person, to be a more wholesome expression of myself.
Definitely. And I'm glad you went with compassion first, because a lot of people, when they see something wrong, they tend to try to go and fix it extremely quickly without taking time to process how you feel, what it is you actually see, and understand it.
Right.
One of the things when I'm working with clients is they'll see some aspect of their life that they don't like, and then they'll immediately ask, what do I do about it? That's a question to ask, maybe not immediately,
right,
but eventually you will have to do something. You will have to make some changes, but I don't think we always have to be in a rush to just fix everything that we see that's wrong. I think there's a level of processing that we skip over in understanding what is.
Exactly.
Like, what is there? Like, sit in that. Dexter, what are some, I guess, recommendations you have for someone who is trying to be a little bit more compassionate when they see some of these ugly things or some of these things that they aren't too proud of? Like, what would be some of your recommendations?
That one of the biggest things I've recognized is like stop seeing yourself through the lens of perfection. And I think a lot of people, a lot of us think we have to be this version of ourselves every day or else people won't accept us. And you have to be, and I say this all the time, to myself, to family, friends, coworkers, like other couples, like be gentle with yourself.
Yes.
You have to be, and you have to be gentle with yourself and realize that every traumatic event, every piece of your shadow has a starting point. It has a starting point. If you immediately go from recognizing where it is to trying to just going directly to the finish line to try to fix it, you got to go through all of that. You got to experience all of that. You have to embrace all of that. Okay, where did this happen? Oh, this happened because this happened back when I was 5. This happened back when I was 7. My mom said this one thing to me and it stuck with me for the rest of my life. A lot of us can pinpoint where it happened, but we may not be willing to recognize it because it may be too painful because while we're trying to fix it. But going through that process of being gentle with yourself is so important because a lot of us want to be harder because a lot of us are our own worst critics. And we have to take that pressure off. Like, wait a minute. I just recognized this yesterday. How am I going to fix it in 24 hours? I can't. Yeah. I can't fix it. And realizing that you're human, that's the biggest thing I recommend. You're human. You're fine. Like, you are not perfect. You are finite. You are a finite human being with flaws. And the whole purpose of life is to make sure that you're always progressing. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And being gentle with yourself comes with reminding yourself that you're not human, not seeing yourself through that lens of perfection and accepting what happened and being willing to go on that journey. It's going to be hard. It's going to get dark. Some truths going to come out that you never knew were there. I learned that in marriage. Like, a lot of stuff's going to come out that you did not know was there. You didn't know. You thought you were patient. Oh, you didn't. You really aren't that patient. You thought you were mindful. You thought you were all these things, but you realized that you weren't. And it's okay when it comes up. I've learned that it's okay to accept that, okay, I'm not as patient as I thought I was. I'm not as accepting as I thought I was. But the whole purpose is to realize, you know what? I'm human. I'm finite. And I'm going to go on this journey to become better. Not to be perfect. Don't start the journey to become perfect, but to start it, just realize I'm human. I'm going to progress throughout this and I'm going to be okay.
Hey, so we're moving in a perfect direction. Like I tell y'all, like we hitting everything. So I pulled something from your Instagram, Venus, and I want you to tell me what this means to you. All right. So you put a post up. It says, sometimes I wake up and I have to remind myself there is nothing wrong with me. I have patterns to unlearn, new behaviors to embody, and wounds to heal. But there is nothing wrong with the core of me and who I am. I am unlearning generations of harm and remembering love. It takes time.
I feel like it all says it in the post. That goes back to to the gentleness and the humanness, you know what I mean? And like allowing ourselves to really build a deep bond and relationship with ourselves. Because a lot of people, like how you said, like they skip the process of the relationship of themselves and then automatically build relationships outside of themselves. And then they look to these outside sources to validate them. And they don't take the time to validate themselves to say, well, do I like myself? Do I care about, what I'm wearing? Do I care about how I feel in my skin? I matter. I care about my thoughts about myself. It doesn't matter about what anybody else thinks about me or what they care about. My main relationship is with myself, because at the end of the day, I have to go to sleep with peace or not. I can't go to sleep if I don't have peace inside of me. It requires peace to go to sleep. Otherwise, other people, they use drugs or anything else to try to help them go to sleep. They have insomnia because at the end of the day, there's something inside of them that they're not acknowledging, that they're running away from. And I feel like I spend a lot of my time running away from myself and trying to find other things to make me happy outside of myself. And I feel like this society it develops our relationship like that, to where, okay, outside validation means I'm moving forward and I'm somebody in this world. But it doesn't matter what anybody else says on the outside world. I'm somebody in this world because I said so, because God told me so. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
I know who I am and I accept who I am. So nobody else would, no matter what anybody else says, I know that I'm perfect as I am in the core of me, because in the core of me is God. So from that core relationship, from that core center, that's where I built my strong foundation, and everything else on the outside, I allow that to reflect that to me as, okay, I see, this is me, or no, that's not me, because that's not in the core of me. And I'm okay with acknowledging that and saying that, because I'm worthy of how I feel and what matters to me.
So hold on. So we're gonna have to do an Instagram live on this, because a lot of people just missed what you said. A lot of people missed it. I'm following because here's another thing. When you're talking about the reflecting, people are wondering, how do I keep dating the same people over and over again? Y'all missed it.
Day
I
with
know.
that
Hold
too.
on. Someone missed it. The reflection of what's inside will come out in your natural environment, and the kind of people you continue to date over and over and over is just a reflection. And people have a hard time accepting it, because then it puts the word you used earlier, accountability, on you to have to make some changes.
Right.
One of the things, listen, there are very few hills that I am willing to die on, but this is one of them. I seriously think that when people have had difficulty in the dating space or in relationships, that you got to take a sabbatical. You got to take some time to, quote unquote, do some shadow work, so that when you get back out there, what you're attracting is different. And I think it takes time, just like that, like the post I just read. People are so quick to rush things. They are not willing to sit by themselves for a year and relearn themselves. Listen, I did this. I tell everybody, people look at me and they say, like, you really just didn't date anybody for a year? Yes. And it was intentional and deliberate. And I had a plan for what I was doing while I was by myself. I had to unlearn and relearn a lot of things. And then I can't say this is going to happen for everybody, but the next person I dated, I married. Like, I don't think that that's a coincidence.
Right.
I don't think it's luck. I think it was very intentional, because what I started to attract was a reflection of what was in me. And I think that's extremely important. I think, especially when we're talking about dating, shadow work can be one of those tools that people use to unlearn some of the stuff that is causing them to be in these negative cycles of dating the wrong type of person, making the wrong type of decisions, having dating anxiety. Man, Jason came on and broke down what dating anxiety comes from. I think it's that internal stuff of, I'm afraid that someone won't accept me for me. So all of these things, when you're able to do shadow work and to be able to really identify those places of your life that you may not have been conscious of, but influence and impact the decisions you make, you can become, I don't even just want to say whole, because I don't think we just become whole. I think we're continually growing in a better direction, or a more self-aware aspect. So we're going to go ahead and transition into our last. Go ahead.
One last thing. Well, and when I say wholesome, because I do like holistic healing, that's more so focusing on all the different aspects of ourselves, because we're not just physical beings. We're multifaceted beings. So I have to be able to make sure that I'm looking at my mental health, my mind, my body, my soul, and my spirit. So it's like a lot of people, they don't want to sit alone by themselves, because they have to feel in their bodies how the pain and how it feels. So they rather jump into relationship because they don't want to be alone in their body, because they can feel so much pain, and they rather do a temporary fix, to get stimulated and be overstimulated. Whereas when you sit with yourself and it's just you and yourself, you don't have anybody else to blame. There is no one to blame, and get in these toxic cycle with other people, blaming these other. there's no one to blame but yourself. And then like, oh dang, I'm over here saying you're emotionally unavailable, but I'm emotionally unavailable. So there's a lot of things.
Listen.
You guys. One of my favorite artists, Loaded Lux, he said you got to rewind because there's more to find. Yeah, this one they're gonna have to rewind and listen a couple times because I'm telling you, it's going over some people's head, but that's okay. They can catch up. That's why we record it and put it out there so they can rewatch it. But we're gonna go ahead and transition into our final segment of the show, which is Flip the Script. And Flip the Script is the segment of the show where our guest provides a simple tool, strategy, or word of encouragement for how to deal with a particular subject, challenge, or just situation that we talked about in this episode. So, Venus, you ready for your question?
Yes.
All right, so somebody may be out there listening and they may be thinking, wow, I really need to take some time to do my own shadow work journey, but I'm afraid, I'm scared of what I may see, what I may find, what I may discover after actually doing the work. What is some type of encouragement you would give them for why it is important for them to lean into the shadows and to discover more of who they are?
For one, I want them to ask themselves, are you sick and tired of being sick and tired? If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you must do the work. You must face yourself and you must empower yourself and to let yourself know that it's okay. It's okay to feel weak sometimes. It's okay to feel scared sometimes. It's okay to feel helpless at times too. But I feel like the only thing that really got me through it was God. So whatever your source that's higher than you, tap into that and ask for help with the spirit realm. Ask for help from God, because God will always show you the way. If there's a will, there's a way. If you ask, then it will be given to you. So the first and foremost is you ask God first, and then with the information that's given to you, be obedient to that and take the steps accordingly. If God say, cut off that person, stop talking to that person, cut off these distractions, and you don't do it, then you're going to continue these cycles of suffering because you choose to do that. You must realize that you are a sovereign being and you are the co-creator of your existence. And so whatever changes in your reality is because you choose to make the shift and make the adjustments and to be really raw with yourself. And like, look, we keep making these wrong choices. We keep, attracting these men that are emotionally unavailable. So that means that I need to sit down and become emotionally available with myself and not run away from these harsh emotions that come up and like really difficult conversations that come up with myself, and sit down and make the space to face it. And so if you're scared, I'm sorry, if it can be scary, but it's more scary to, like, if you put into perspective, it's more scary to stay the same way. It's more scary to stay in the same cycles and stay in the same cycles of suffering and being around the same people that are abusing you and manipulating you. So encourage yourself by telling yourself, realizing, being self-aware and acknowledging that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I'm willing to do anything that I need to do in a healthy manner to make the shifts and adjustments that I need to make within my life, because my life is my responsibility, not my mom's, not my dad's, not my brother's, not my boyfriend, not my husband's. It's my responsibility. Nobody can do my healing for me. So when I'm ready and I'm open and I choose to open my heart up to my healing, and I say, okay, I'm tired of being tired. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So God, what do I do? And separate yourself. Shadow work is an unknown process. No one can do it for you. You need to separate yourself and be in your room. I've been by myself for many days. Like how you said, be out of a relationship for a whole year. that was just something that I asked for, that to attract real love into my space. And then that's what was given to me. Separate then. It's not going to happen the way how you think. It's going to be ugly first before it becomes pretty, because before it becomes, beautiful. And so if you're scared, I encourage you to befriend yourself, to befriend your shadows, and to know that whatever comes up, it comes up because it adds character to it adds value to your character building. It adds more essence to your story of how you overcame things that could have broke somebody else, and use that as inspiration, knowing that other people can rise up from that too, from your story.
All right, and there you guys have it. That is this week's Flip the Script. Venus, thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
Please let everybody know where they can find you on the internet or social media.
Well, y'all can find me on Instagram, Venus Sublime, YouTube, Twitter, everything Venus Sublime. I actually have a song called Perspective too, so I love that that was the main, that came up. So I have a song called Perspective. You guys can look out for that too. And you can find me everywhere, Venus Sublime.
Gotcha. And I will put all of her information down in the show notes. Please follow Dexter also at Love on My Sleeve on Instagram. That is at Love on My Sleeve. Please head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Podcast, comment, rate, subscribe. Yo, help us get our rating up. We got 5 stars already, but we need like more ratings. We trying to move up the charts. I don't really push for charts, but let's try. Let's just see what can happen. Also, if you're in podcast land, please head on over to Love Unscripted HD on YouTube, where you can see the full video for this episode. Follow me on Instagram at love.unscripted. And hey, we may not have all the answers, but we will have the conversation. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace, y'all.